Hmm. No
All
other
right.
no other way to start it
That's
than
right.
eating.
Yeah. Oak eating. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode, 32. I lost track. I'll know when I edit the video for you. Anyway, welcome, Lunar Phase Gaming. Just Oak, who's eating, as usual.
I
And
love
myself.
food.
And YouTube is also being featured here today. We do have a feeler out for our fourth person, but I haven't heard back. So we'll see if he pops in or not. Anyway, we're here to discuss Dragonflight launch and how we all feel about that. Um, just initial, like, no specifics. How are we feeling so far?
I personally love the game. I think it's actually playable, which is a big step up from Shadowlands, which was, not.
Which was not. Yeah. So
Dude,
let's
no way my streak ended because of my card fucking. Oh my.
rip. Rip.
Found that rep grind is back to old school BC
Yeah,
style
dude.
rep grind. And I cannot stand that, but otherwise I'm enjoying it.
Love it. I'm loving every second of it. Dude, it's
Uh,
not bad. It's one set of two sets of world quests a week.
it's 4 sets of world quests a week.
No.
Is it 4?
Yeah, because they
It's 4
reset yesterday.
Yeah, it's 4
Yeah.
sets of
So
world
it's
quests a week, and that's if you're not doing cobalt
Oh,
farming,
2
which
sets a
has
week. You're right. Yeah,
no
yeah.
rep.
two sets. Yeah,
Which
two
has
sets.
no
Yeah,
rep.
two
Two
sets.
sets
You're
a
right.
week. So it only resets once.
Which was
And
yesterday.
you don't need the cobalt farm. I'll tell you that.
Hell
I
no.
did. I did because I'm a
Well,
tank. I need that ring.
he needs it.
Yeah,
Sure.
you don't need the ring.
So anyway, let's start with kind of the pre-patch, which includes the Drakthir starting zone, the legacy shorts, and kind of the pre-event, which I'll give my opinion in a minute. But Lunar, did you start an Evoker?
I did start an evoker. I started an evoker before official launch.
So during the pre-patch.
And then I did one during the pre-patch, and then my daughter did one after launch. So she got to stream playing the evoker.
Nice. So what was your initial reaction about the evoker and the play style of the Forbidden Reach?
The playstyle of the Forbidden Reach was actually quite different. I liked the idea of getting dragon riding suit, for lack of better terms, because that is what it is. Let's just be honest. It is a condensed style of dragon riding. So we got access to that super early to actually play around with it somewhat. So I really love that because it did get me ready for actual dragon riding once we got into the game. The story for the evokers actually pissed me off because it's like I don't want to be part of the Black Dragonflight, even though technically we're not.
Yeah,
But when
we'll
you
touch on that
actually
a
read
little bit
through
later.
that, yeah, that other than that, I actually enjoyed that area, and I know my daughter enjoyed it a lot too. She had fun trying to escape the island before finishing all the quests.
Perfect. I assume you played Devastation.
No, I played healer actually.
Oh, how'd that go?
That was a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I was not a fan of the way the healer was set up. It just felt it. I'll say this: it looks like it's going to be good for group healing a little bit with some of what I played on it, but as a solo healing and dungeon groups for small groups, not so much.
And boys can pump though.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can.
I have
You can
noticed
pump.
that.
They can look. I think there's a
Shogun.
skill gap. I think there's a pretty large, like, not saying anyone's bad, but there just are those people who have figured it out already,
absolutely.
right? That's just who they are.
Yeah, I've
Look,
talked to a
it's
couple
their
people.
class, right? So I've seen some dudes come in there and pull 40K, like, ripping it on pulls, and not super consistently, but when your healer can get 40, 50k on the board
Yeah.
and everybody's alive.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I think, there's a damage disparity that no damage is going out in a lot of parts of the dungeon.
Yeah. I've talked to a few people about Evoker, because I did start one. I did do the quest chain. I leveled it up to 60 and all that other nonsense. I got it ready to go on the boat. I haven't really touched it since then, but I was talking to them about the charged abilities and like the pros and cons of the charged abilities and what, because to me, in a game where it's like, oh, you may have to always be pushing a button and something always has to be happening, the charge ability seems counterintuitive, but I know there has to be like an optimal time to do that.
I mean, yeah, it's just like working anything else into a rotation, right? Like there's it's the same thing as a channel spell. You're just holding the button down, right? That's all it is. It's a channel where you hold the button down.
And you can
hold
change
the
your
button
settings
down until you get to a specific spot that you wanted to.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
there's
you can
nothing
change
different about it.
You can change the settings so you hit the button and then you hit the button again, so you actually don't have to hold it.
Correct. So it's a channel, a toggle channel. Like
kind of like
I think it depends on your perspective with it. Like I don't mind it. I think it's unique. It's Blizzard actually trying something with a class, which like Evoker really feels good because of that. I think, in my opinion, like it is different, and that's what makes it feel fun. I'm not saying I like it, but it is different.
Yeah, it was different. The mid range is kind of weird.
Was Demon Hunters 2.0, and like that was whatever.
Yeah, I guess if you substitute,
was, bro.
If you substitute Primalist
with where have I been? What has happened? What do you mean I'm working with you?
Yeah, who are you?
I guess we're friends now.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Like,
that's another thing that, and I don't want to go too like backtrack sidebar on this one, but that was one thing I really hated about Demon Hunters, and now is a problem with Evokers, and kind of a problem with Pandas when they existed, like they came out. Like they're true neutral, yet we have to pick a side, even though sides are becoming gray at best.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done with it. I said my piece.
Unfortunately, that's one part that I think is never going to actually change.
Any race, any faction. I'm a proponent for that because a faction is a belief, not a race, right?
That's true. That's true. The problem
I'm keep the factions, but any race, any faction.
Yeah, the problem I had with the Drakthir part of this is that you had to choose prior to making your character. Now, if you're a returning player, like whatever, right? Like you already know what you want to go, Horde or Alliance. But if you're a new player, you don't necessarily know what you want. Even with Pandaria, if you were a new player and you came into that, you got to. But like when Pandaria, you got to choose after you started. Like you got to go through a little bit of a question and then pick. But you get to do that with Drakthir, and that's.
Yeah, you're doing this. I mean, I guess you don't get to start, but you're in the game. You can read about them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
Let's be real. Most people are probably picking up WoW because someone finally convinced them to pick it up, or they know their parents are doing it, or whoever, right? Like someone who's playing WoW. That's why you're gonna start playing WoW. So like 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna play whatever they're.
Whatever they're playing. I mean, my daughter right now, she gets to choose between playing Alliance or playing Horde because both me and my husband are both Alliance and Horde. So she gets to choose between which one. So she doesn't have to say, well, I'm going to play Horde because everybody I know is playing Horde. No, she gets to actually choose. Do I want to play with mom or do I want to play with dad?
And so, depending on the content, you don't even need to do that anymore, right?
Exactly. For the most part, you don't need to do that. I mean, my husband played on his Alliance Evoker for a hot minute before he finally decided to create a Horde Evoker to play with me, and like, I need help doing this quest. Can you come help me? Yeah, sure. I'm on my Horde Paladin now, and immediately it's like, okay, you need help doing this. Let's go.
And even the tagging rules are slightly different. I noticed this too while I was questing. Even though there are Horde and Alliance in the area, the tagging rules have changed. Like I was able to tag things that Horde tunes were already on and get credit. So
the way that the tagging works, and this is what I was noticing while I was doing a lot of the rep farms, is if they are in a group that is a mixed group, depending on who hits it first, will depend on which faction can get it.
So no, there's a key feature now that it's so now, before, when you were in a group, if someone hit something, you would still have to go and tag it, right?
Right.
You no longer have to have that happen. When someone from your group hits it, that's an immediate 5-person tag.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the difference now. The difference is how many people are in the group. Did 2 groups just hit it at once? Did a 4 and a 4 just hit it? Now 8 people have the tag because it's all numbers based now. There's no faction relation anymore.
It's based on the number.
I've actually noticed, because I've done a lot of farming solo. And if you have mixed faction groups that are around and tagging things, if a horde person in that mixed faction group hits it first, then everybody who's horde that's a solo farmer will get access to that loot for that lob. But if a person in that group that's an alliance character hits it first, we do not get access to that. Yeah, we do not get access to that particular
it's still a numbers
mob's
game,
loot
though.
table.
It's still a numbers
it's still a numbers loot table. It's still a numbers game, that's for sure.
Okay, so that kind of covers the evokers, kind of our initial. It's a cool idea. I think that once the raid comes out tomorrow or on Tuesday, yeah. So when all the main content comes out on Tuesday, Mythic Plus, raid, all that stuff, I think we're gonna really see what's good. And that doesn't just go for Evoker. I think that's gonna go for everybody. Like tanks just got a huge hit, and all 3 of us, I think, have seen that because I played a tank.
10%, bro.
Dude,
what's
it's
10%
nothing.
Of 0?
Yeah, it's nothing. But they are already nerfing things, and they haven't even actually seen any content.
I said that the tanks are getting nerfed. We agreed upon that.
Oh yeah, the other day we were in Discord.
Oh, we all knew tanks were gonna get nerfed eventually within the first few weeks of the expansion. That was
I'm pulling 180k DPS.
Yeah, warriors are stupid right now.
They didn't even touch the damage. I'm like, you idiots.
Yeah,
that's not what's broken.
They nerfed. So what was it? There's 10% more damage coming in.
Yeah, you're gonna take 10% more damage. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm
not gonna do shit.
Yeah, whatever. We'll see how it plays out. But
when I read it, I laughed.
Yeah, our raid leader / guild leader is a prot warrior, and he's like, that means literally nothing to me.
Yeah.
So
I mean, now I'm a fucking prot paladin. That means shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude. I can pull the entire dungeon. It's hilarious.
So the next thing is the legacy shorts. This has kind of become a staple since Pandaria WoD. These 2D animated shorts, right? This one is the first one, I guess, because I didn't watch the Pandaria or the WoD ones, but I guess this is the first one that kind of really follows a full story arc, as opposed to like individual like 5-minute segments for like individual characters. What did you guys think of these particular 3 videos, and then we can talk about each one a little bit more.
I like anything Blizzard puts its name on and isn't an animated or is animated. So
I loved it. It was absolutely gorgeous.
They crush every cutscene, right? Every cutscene looks great. Every animated short looks great. That's one thing that they just don't fuck up. And that's mostly because their art team is consistently the strongest thing they have.
Yeah. Now, if only they'd actually do their own fucking movie with their own art team.
Dude, if they did an animated series, animated series
with Netflix,
dude, or real, I would
I just binged Wednesday. I would binge that if they did.
Give me it.
So the story of Legacies, so the way that this is presented to us is that, to me, this happens after the Evokers wake up. So we've already done, if you started an Evoker, we've already done the Forbidden Reach portion of this, and Emberthal decided to stay there. And this happens after that, in my mind, because Nozdormu comes in, Emberthal's already awake, and then they start their discussion, and he like is trying to figure out what's happening. Do you agree or do you not agree that is what is happening?
The way that they presented it is after the evokers wake up, because Emberthal left to go talk to Nozdormu as everybody else is leaving the Isle for their respective faction cities. Because she doesn't come back to talk to anybody until after we're already established in our faction cities.
I can't find the lie.
You can't find what?
I can't find the lie there.
Oh,
See
yeah.
no lie.
So the first thing, and I don't want to get too much into like video analysis or whatever, but the first thing you see is the shadow of Nozdormu come in, right? And then you don't see Nozdormu, but then you see him change into his Visage form. It's all shadows. Like you don't see it, and then you see him walk into the cave. How much of this do you believe is Nozdormu? That's the speculation part of today.
But my main man, I'm not gonna say shit.
Considering he is a time dragon, we don't know which
he's
a
very flawed time dragon.
Yeah.
So,
let's put it like this.
Real here. He's
Timey,
probably the weakest of the homies.
He's definitely the closest to falling.
That's
right?
all it is.
Huh?
He's the closest to falling for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not gonna spoil anything because that goes into the storyline there, but he actually talks about that.
Yeah, and for those who have finished,
talking about that since Cataclysm, dude.
For those who have finished,
Tiny Tim and his bum leg.
just the story campaign for Thaldraszus. If you finish that, there is a nice little like cutscene between him and Chromie, and
talk about how good the fucking story is,
dude. The story.
Oh my god!
Yes, we can. As a matter of fact, yes, we can.
This fucking shithole that we got fucking convoluted out of BFA. Like, look, there's some things I like about both BFA and Shadowlands, and there's just a lot more that didn't get finished. And I feel like I have no loose ends starting the no loose ends that aren't, I don't know,
that you didn't already know were gonna happen. You know what I mean? Yeah, you knew there were gonna be loose ends, and they led them perfectly. They
are crushing the story
for sure. It's obvious to me that the time that they lost in Shadowlands in story development, they definitely focused on getting this out properly.
I'm glad they decided not to suck. It turns out when you have a good culture in your company and you fire all the misogynistic fucking pedophile fucks, the company does better.
Yeah, weird.
Wow.
Yeah,
who would have fucking thought?
Weird how that works.
It's almost like that shit's toxic.
So yeah, let's start it off. Like everybody starts off at their perspective dock or Zeppelin tower. Then they all go to the same place. Everybody arrives in the same place. So let's talk about this first. How did you feel about the success of launch?
Oh god, don't get me started.
I don't have anything here. I was at the primetime Monday night game, Steelers Colts.
Yes. Yes.
It was an exhilarating exhibition match.
Well,
of football.
From my perspective, you didn't miss anything.
No, you did not.
Yeah, I got a couple texts from people who were like, just coming back to the game, and they were like, "Oh, I'm gonna take off work." I was like, "You're an idiot."
Oh, I tell that to people all the time. They're like, "Oh, I took the week off." I'm like, "You're an idiot."
I did that one time. Realized I'm an idiot.
Yeah. That was
so yeah, I went to the football game and then played on Tuesday, and it was smooth for me. I don't know about you guys.
I spent 3.5 hours on the loading screen.
Ooh.
Several people that were in my channel managed and had only been watching me earned their mount, or was it the mount? Yeah, it was the mount. They earned their mount before I finally got back into the game. I got in for like...
Oh, yeah, it was the Feldrake.
30 minutes. Yeah, the Feldrake. I was in for about 30 minutes. I managed to actually get on the first Zeppelin.
Ooh, lucky you.
Yeah, I got on the first Zeppelin. And I managed to actually load in to the Dragon Isles. I was there for 30 minutes before I got kicked. And went through a loop of logging in, kick out, logging in, kick out. And finally, nope, you can't even log in.
In my line of work, we would call that getting got.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got gotten. I got hard, and I was on. To top it off, I'm on Illidan.
Yeah, see, there's a reason I don't play on that server anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when I got in, finally.
Shogun's in chat giving me shit. So so launch was at 3, and I don't get home until 4, which means I don't really get to sit down and play until like 4:45.
Yeah, for sure.
The boats had already been broken in Stormwind, and they had decided, hey, let's put up a portal because the boats are broken. And so I logged in, and Shogun's like, hey, the boats are broken. There's a portal there. And then instead of taking the portal, I decided I'm going to clean out my bags first. Which...
Oh, good one, Goofy.
Whatever. So I am not kidding. The second I cleared out my bags, the portal went away. And the boat came, but it didn't stop.
That was a problem that a lot of people were having, where either the boats and Zeppelins would come, or they just would not stop. Or they wouldn't come at all.
So
there were...
And there was no timer.
That I was talking to.
Imagine having a flying mount, not being able to catch a boat. Good job.
So there was no timer on the NPC. As some people know, they added a timer to the boat NPC so you can see when the boat's coming. The timer was broken, so like nobody knew when the boat was coming, if it was coming, if the boat was broke again, whatever. It ended up being broken for like another hour and a half or whatever. Shogun was actually on the Stormwind docks with me, and he flew over to Orgrimmar and caught the Zeppelin and got there before I did. And apparently a lot of Alliance players did that. They're like, well, this is fucked. And I know that there's Horde people that are going, so I'm just going to go catch the Zeppelin, which, whatever. They're not, the NPCs there are not aggro, so you could just fly right onto the Zeppelin. There was no problem.
Yeah, and of course, because everybody's trying to get to the same place, nobody's bothering anybody.
Yeah. So that was a thing that I know people did on launch day. So anyway, that part of launch was an absolute shit show.
Had a really, really good Cuban sandwich on launch night.
I was pretty impressed though. Like there was some stuff that happened. Normally, like all of the
recovered pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like this was one of the fastest times that they had everybody in game playing the content.
Yeah, I mean, by the time I got home, it was like 2 a.m. and I logged in and everything was functioning.
Yeah, and usually it takes like 2-3 days. So
yeah, though a lot of people were complaining because one of the things they had not done was they didn't do a proper stress test. I know they had the open beta.
That wasn't long enough.
No, it wasn't long enough, and they didn't do an actual stress test either.
Y'all need to learn to keep your hopes down.
Oh, right. I have no hopes.
I know. I didn't hope for a stress test. I was already playing beta long before open beta even hit, so I didn't really care. But that was something that a lot of other people were complaining about on launch day, was that they didn't do a stress test, because there were streams of people. I can't tell you how many streams I was probably in like 10 or 15 different streams just lurking. And I'd go through each stream and it's like loading screen. Oh, nope, can't play that one. Loading screen, loading screen, loading screen. And everybody was complaining that there was no stress test before launch.
Yeah, so Mystify is like, there was a stress test a week before. I know that. I know there was a stress test, but I don't feel like the stress test. There weren't enough. Like normally,
they don't care about that shit.
Yeah, but normally in a beta cycle, they'll have like multiple stress tests, right?
They know it's fucked. They know they're gonna fuck something up. They know that this game is built on a pile of spaghetti. Okay, they're not oblivious to that.
So,
which is, I think, is why I think they prepared to fix fucked up shit this time.
Yeah,
I think that was the difference.
I think they were
They
ready
said,
this time.
it's gonna fuck up. Who cares? Let's just be prepared to unfuck it, and it will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's be prepared to unfuck it as fast as humanly possible, which for some people was not fast enough.
Yeah, that's right. Mystify
a
says
good job.
NA is always
launches
stress testing
take,
for
like,
you.
2 weeks to stable out, right? Like,
I think we're,
I don't know.
I think we're good right now.
In 6 hours, I'm pretty impressed.
I think it's in a real good place, ready for the content that's coming out on Tuesday. I think we're sitting pretty good. Which
yeah, right now we're sitting pretty good for the content that's coming out on Tuesday. There's no doubt about that. I'm excited about the content coming out on Tuesday because it's been a long while for me that I've been able to get into a guild to start raiding day one.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. This is actually the first expansion that I've played, and I started like playing back again in Legion. That I'm actually ready for raid. Like I clear all of my mythics both weeks, and this is the first time I've done that, and I was actually excited to do it. I think the dungeons are great. I love
the dungeons.
I agree, the dungeons are great. I think they've made the game enjoyable again. On top of it, doesn't feel miserable to go and do these things, right? Like it feels good to go and run the dungeons because the dungeons are good content. Feels good to fly around and do your world quest because dragon riding.
Because dragon riding is a thing.
Oh my god, I love dragon riding.
On top of that, like the world quests are easy. They're so fucking easy. Like all of them.
And they're different. That's
different. It's like wall climbing and photography and fucking I don't know.
Dragon racing.
I'm very dragon pleased with the game.
Oh my god, yes, dragon racing.
Some kind of Pandaria Legion offspring.
Yeah.
To be honest, I get the feeling that I got when I first loaded up World of Warcraft in vanilla when I log into this every day.
Where you can work on what you want to work on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's so that kind of goes in. It doesn't
feel nearly as grindy for me.
It's not quite. It's a good. I think it's a good blend.
It's a good grind. Like I like the grind.
Yeah, I think it's a good blend.
I don't know. Panda made me feel good about the grind.
Specifically, we kind of already talked about the reputations. Let's kind of talk about that a little bit more. Reputations are how I feel reputations should have always been. That they're there, they are going to get you some stuff, but you can do it at your own pace. If you want to no life that and get to 30 in the first 3 weeks, you go right at it, brother. But the rest of us will be, chilling at 10, 12 after 2 weeks, and we're okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the rep grinds personally, and I'm kind of annoyed that I have to do them and get them maxed out as quickly as possible for the gear that they provide for my raid team, because it is one of their requirements that we get those things. But even unless it's like, other than Cobalt, like the Rathian Sibelian grind was actually fun.
Oh yeah, I do like the Obsidian Citadel.
That one was hella fun because you could get through it super fast. Like I got through it probably, what was I doing? I was doing like an hour a day for 3 days farming. And even with the Cobalt, I finished that in 2 days, where everybody's like, oh, well, it took me 10 hours. It took me 48 hours to finish that. And I'm like, I only sat here and grinded for maybe a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours at max on Cobalt before I finished it. It gives me the old school Burning Crusade vibes for the rep grind. But at the same time, if I chose to do it at a slower pace, I could. But the Rathian rep grind was just fun. Obsidian Citadel was great. I loved that one. And I want more like that.
Yeah. The only one I have a problem with is the Tuskar. That is the one that is lagging behind significantly, because there's only certain things that you can do to get that one up. And
just get your fish to 100, brother.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
Are you turning your fish in daily?
Hell no.
Well, there you go, bro.
Listen.
I hate that one.
That
one.
You can buy the fish.
Listen,
that's the great part.
You know how I play this game. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I don't give a damn what everybody else is supposed to be doing.
Well, then you can't complain about the system. Okay.
I'm just saying that I think that one is significantly harder than the rest of them. I don't.
Or you.
If the only way that you have to gain rep with that one is through fishing and you don't fish and you're
Right.
not about to spend the gold on it to get the fish that's needed to up the ante, then yeah, you're gonna hate it. I don't fish. I can't stand fishing. Fishing is super boring to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather have a rep grind where I'm going around and killing shit all the time.
Yeah, obviously I don't mind fishing when I'm standing around waiting for something to happen, but like my playstyle is I want to go do something. That's why dungeons have always been my favorite content, is because I can literally just do that and not stop. Let's see. The rep grind we talked about. So let's talk about the story so far. I don't want to dive into the specifics because there's a lot. Which is awesome. I think that's fantastic. Each zone has its own story to tell.
Yeah. Oh my god. The
Some
Chromie story.
Some zones have multiple stories being told. It is so good. There's so much happening.
They've done really well with the lore.
They have opened up like A plots, B plots, C plots. I mean, there is just, they can literally take this expansion anywhere. Somebody asked me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is probably for the first time in a while. I don't think like I'm like, all right, yep, I know how things are gonna end.
Yeah, I know that they said that after the first raid we're gonna know who the end boss is for the expansion or whatever. But
yeah, but like I like that's the old school formula, right? Like that.
Right.
I like
right. But I feel like
let's do it.
Don't know what's next, and that's okay because there's so much to choose from.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they've laid the groundwork for this pretty clearly, that the B plot in this is the infinite Dragonflight. Like, we got the Primalists.
That's been laid out.
And we've got the infinite Dragonflight, but there's so much other stuff.
I don't know, bro. After this week, got some void thoughts lingering in the back of my head, dude.
There are no old gods in
Dragonflight. Let's be honest. The old gods are going to be involved in everything.
There are no old gods in Dragonflight.
Bullshit. I call bullshit.
Listen, this is not news to anybody, right? Like,
right.
Murozond is from like Old God Whisper. Somebody asked me this the other day in stream. They're like, "Well, what do you think about like where are the old gods?" And I was like, "They're defeated. Duh. There are no old gods." And it's like, okay, come on. Like, we already know. We went to Northrend and we talked to Mimiron and we did some bullshit with Mimiron. And he talks about this. Like, the lingering echoes of Yogg-Saron are still there. So why wouldn't the rest of it be there? I mean, it's laid out pretty easily that, like, we're going to see some... I
want to point out that we've been to other planets and we've only killed the old gods on
our planet.
Our planet.
And they made it pretty clear that
our known explored planet, by the way,
right?
You know, there's probably about 7 other continents we haven't explored yet. So,
oh my god,
it's
Alexstrasza is actually Ajara in an Azoth trench coat.
True.
I don't care what nobody says. I will totally bang Alexstrasza.
Dude, don't fight.
Just putting it up there.
I'll fight anybody over Alexstrasza.
Give me Alexstrasza's armor and Sindragosa, and I'm good.
I don't want to.
I'm sorry, they made Sindragosa fucking hot as hell.
I don't want to get too spoilery because I know a lot of people haven't got this far, but it's out there. How do you feel about the Ysera stuff? All right, cool. There we are.
In regards to what, like,
okay,
how do you mean?
So I'm not going to say that loading screens are foretelling in any way, shape, or form, but obviously...
Loading screens are foretelling, I'll say it.
The loading screen for Dragonflight is obviously the dragon aspects, which includes Rathian, which tells me that this Sibelian-Rathian rivalry doesn't matter. And it's not Marithra, that's Ysera. So... how do we feel about that?
As I have said this a dozen times, and I will say it again, the loading screen the tooltips that they put down there, that is foretelling. No questions about it. I mean, nobody ever mentioned Torellian and Illyria until the tooltips started. And then all of a sudden, everybody wanted to wonder where they were. Then we started getting bits
Little
and pieces
tidbits.
about their family.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the loading screens are foretelling. The fact that Ysera is coming back is kind of sad, to be honest. Great, but
Thank
sad.
God.
Because
I'm so
like,
glad somebody agrees with me.
let's leave her. Her story's over. We finished her, as far as I'm concerned, we finished her story off in the Shadowlands. She is bound to the Winter Queen. Why are we going to undo that and bring her back? That makes no sense.
What if it's a temporary thing? What if it's the Winter Queen giving her, like, you know, some ability to come help Azeroth because we helped the Shadowlands?
So this is already out there. Like, this was the end of, like, the Shadowlands Ysera quest chain, right? Like, they said, I can't come back unless something great is sacrificed, right? Like, I mean, they laid the groundwork for that a year and a half ago.
They laid the groundwork for that back when she fucking first died. Like, let's be real.
Sure. Yeah.
The plan has always been to bring Ysera back. If you are surprised, I'm surprised.
I'm not surprised.
Not surprised, just annoyed by it.
Just disappointed.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Thrall. Like, let's be real. Like, they should have just left Thrall where Thrall was and not and they did it. So, like,
in rotting the Grand, that's where Thrall should be.
They love to bring back old characters like Torellian.
I'm okay with that one.
I'm cool with him coming back, but like, again, this is a guy that, like you said, no one was talking about for a long fucking time. Like, no one really cared.
But characters like the Torallian Illyria thing, the reason that one doesn't bother me is because they were Warcraft 2 lore that never really got fleshed out in World of Warcraft. Like, we didn't really need it. We didn't really need it.
The characters they've got. I mean,
I think that's the thing, though. Their story never actually finished. That's different from the Ysera line. We finished that.
Right.
That's done and over with. Because she literally said, I cannot leave. I am bound to the Winter Queen because she used her power to bring me back.
Yeah.
I'm bound here. I'm stuck here. They just went through a portal and went missing.
Unless,
like, as soon as they said the unless, that was the boom.
That
all
was
right, she coming back.
You knew.
I knew. Like, as soon as that happened and Dragonflight, I mean, like, she's coming back. Groundwork was laid back in Legion for it.
Yeah, I was disappointed that we finished that whole Ysera story, and it hasn't even been one expansion, and they're like, she's coming back. Like, we had to wait for Illidan for a long time.
I mean, yeah, when they found a use for his character.
I'm just saying, like, when they bring characters back,
in their mind, Ysera's story has never been over. Never.
I mean, there is an argument to say that Ysera's story never started,
and that she's come back and she's a key player over and over and over again. There's no way when they killed her off that they had any intention of leaving her that way. They left that door wide open from the get-go.
Yeah, and like I said,
I personally have never felt satisfied with Ysera's story.
I can't argue with that, because like I was saying,
I can't argue with it either.
I have never shut the door on her because of all of the keywords that they like to use, and on the other factor that I genuinely am not satisfied with the story.
Yeah. So there, I mean, there, like I said, there's argument to be had that Ysera's story never has really been told.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ever. I don't think she's ever been fulfilled as a character.
Like, we've got Alexstrasza.
Like, she's bound to the Shadowlands. She's happy, bro.
We're at the point where now we're actually getting the full story on all the dragons. Right. We never really got their full story to begin with. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, Ysera's got it.
It's not complete, but at least to me, she should have just stayed there and let it pass on, because she's part of the old group.
Or at least give it time to breathe.
We've finished him out. Yeah, give it time to breathe.
My theory is at the end of this, Kalecgos is going to be back leading the pack. I don't think.
for sure.
I mean, we won't have Nosdormo, that's for sure. We're gonna have a backup for her. I think everyone's secondary at the end of this expansion is going to be the primary, with the exception of Caligos. That includes Ysera. I think we will open and shut the door on Ysera this expansion.
Caligos is the backup.
Well, no, I mean, like, I'm talking about the second in command for the individual fight, right? Like,
well, yes.
I don't think we'll have Alex Straza leading the red. I don't think we'll have Nosdormo leading the bronze, and I don't think Ysera will be leading the green. I think all of them will be key players, and we're going to learn a lot about each of these as we go. Nosdormo is probably going to be a fucking boss fight. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean,
Nosdormo is going to be a
we'll see what happens. Ysera, I do think, comes back in some sort of dire circumstance on loan from the Winter Queen.
On loan is the key phrase.
Yeah, I don't think we will see her come back in permanent capacity.
I already have my idea on who's going to be leading the Bronze Dragonflight. It's going to be Chromie.
No, they're not going to do Chromie. She's too.
It's going to be Chromie.
Nah.
Yeah.
There's not enough women for that.
If you pay attention to the way
I think the way
she's too quirky. It's not that I would put $1,000 on it right now. That's how confident I am that she will never be the leader.
Tempted to take your money, but I'll leave it alone.
I'll take his money. Shit, I need $1,000. However much you put on it, I'll take it.
It's only because, like, look at what she does in the game, right? Like, what other leader of any sort is doing the quirky, dorky things that Chromie does?
Right, but if you look at it, also that is what makes her endearing to everyone. And just like with Rathian, when you're going through the
just because they're endearing doesn't mean they're a good leader.
Right, it doesn't mean they're a good leader. I mean, but look at what Rathian's doing with Sibelian during the Obsidian when you're grinding rep for them, and they're arguing over.
Not nearly as cheesy, bro. Homie's like,
it's not as cheesy. Like, it's not as cheesy, but it still plays off the fact of, hey, you know me, you know what I've put through. They're doing the politics thing.
Nah.
Is what they're doing. But it's still the same.
And you gotta remember, she's young as fuck comparatively. So
is Rathian. Rathian's like what, 12?
Let's talk about the Sibelian.
You're talking the time Dragonflight.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking the time Dragonflight, but you want to talk about how young Chromie is. You want to talk about how young Chromie is? Let's talk about how young Rathian is.
Me, because she does way too much quirky stuff. She's way too poster boy-y, right? Like, for her to be that, and like, she's a big player already in the game, right? Why elevate someone else into a position where now you have to write a backstory for Chromie? Now you have to do this. Now you have to do that.
They've already written a backstory for Chromie, though.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, they're gonna have to retcon a lot of that shit, guaranteed, because it's convoluted as it is.
She's a time dragon. Of course, it's convoluted.
You can introduce a new player, right? And they already are. They're introducing a lot of Bronze Dragonflight people.
Yeah, they're introducing a lot of Bronze Dragon, but here's the thing: why introduce a brand new character to take over a position that is already established?
Because you would have to write someone to take Chromie's position.
Not necessarily.
Chromie's position is what?
She's got her own reputation. Like,
Chromie's position is what?
She's the timeline guide. You absolutely would have to.
Well, I mean, that's literally
that would make her the perfect person to
because that's
the Bronze
literally what
because she's already
Nosdormo's doing technically
with time. Exactly.
Y'all can say whatever you want. No shot will Blizzard use it.
Mystify brought up.
I'm not saying it's bad writing. I just, knowing Blizzard's writing, it's not gonna happen.
Mystify brought up 2 points. In the loading screen, Ysera looks younger, and I could say that the Ysera in the loading screen is from the flashback. If you look in the Legacies short story, that's what she looks like in that, which was what, 10,000 years ago.
Correct.
10,000 plus.
And then the thing about Chromie, I'm not saying you're wrong, Oak, but they have put a lot of work into Chromie in the last 2 years.
In the last 10 years. That's what I'm saying.
And also, not only that, Chromie now has
But like they come out with the short story in Folk and Fairy Tales about the
qualities of
Visage.
Dragonflight, because that's a
Not only
key
that.
player of the successor, right? The qualities of the Dragonflight, which are
Right, you also have
typically
to remember
represented in their act
how
on
long has it been
anything in
before we've
Gyarados.
ever seen Chromie's dragon form too? If she
We've seen
wasn't
Chromie's
going to
dragon
be
form
more
plenty of times. She had her
when?
own rep. She has
Yeah,
her
she
own
had
rep,
her
guys, where she transfers and
yeah.
she literally goes into a dragon.
No, she goes into a whelp. Different stage of dragonness.
She does go into a dragon at the rep. Did you exalt it?
I've got it exalted. I've never seen her
Okay. In a
full-fledged dragon
cutscene,
form.
she
I've
goes
only
to a
seen her in
dragon.
a whelp.
Yep. And on top of that, everyone's getting a dragon form. Everyone's getting updated models. It's not like she's out. She doesn't stand out as a quality leader for that Dragonflight. Maybe they write her up and they develop her, but I don't see that happening with all the other quirky shit she does in the game. She's literally like the noob guideline right now. Like she's like, hey, you're new to the game. Here's the journal. Here's the timelines. Here's the this. Like, come on. She's a novelty piece. I think she's great. She's gonna do great to bounce ideas off of for sure, but she's a novelty at the end of the day.
I don't disagree with you, but that doesn't mean I agree with you 100%. I agree that Chromie as a character is kind of a cute little like, hey, look at me. She is the stupid ass fairy in Zelda.
Don't bring that fairy up ever.
Yeah, I mean that's what she is though. She's basically the fucking tooltip. Like that's what she fucking is. You're like, oh, go talk to Chromie to go pick a timeline. Like she reminds me of Minnie Mouse. Like it's just she's cool. I like Chromie. Nothing against her. I just don't think she fits the qualities. Like look at Nose Normo and look at her.
Well,
it's pretty
okay. Well,
that's pretty hand in hand.
If we
right?
want to
like,
look, if we want to look at like the original dragon aspects, I mean, why were they chosen? They literally were just the 5 that stood up to Galakrond. Like there was nothing really significant about them other than some spark of intelligence.
To develop their flights. Their flights weren't already established. Their flights then would follow what their qualities are, right? So that's an entirely different ballgame. They were chosen to give them the power. The successor is an entirely different thing. Where the power originates from is not necessarily how the power is given.
Right, because you can see that in the Caligos.
Case in point, Caligos, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. If given the option to pick a successor, I don't think Nosedomer is going to pick Chromie, pal.
This is where I disagree with you, because if you watch that cinematic again, he almost exactly says, if something happens, I leave it to you.
Exactly, and
before he can even said that about a billion times everybody.
But Khadgar's nobody.
Before he even gets that full statement out, Chromie literally says,
"No,
I'm going to stop it."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's because she's a little quirky novelty cheerleader. That's what she does.
Okay, all right. We've beat this.
I'm telling you,
we've beat this dead horse. Okay, I
agree.
What did I say about Khadgar? I said Khadgar's nobody.
You did say Khadgar's nobody, you fucking chump. That's how I knew this conversation was worthless.
No, listen. I'm not saying is chief. Stop. I'm not saying Khadgar's not important. I'm saying that Khadgar doesn't have a title. Khadgar has no role that he passes on. He literally
the guardian.
He's not.
No,
he is not the guardian. He literally refuses the guardianship. Literally refuses the guardianship.
Should have picked up staff. Saying.
Staff isn't really what makes the guardian, though.
That comes with the title.
Mystify.
Comes with the title, but it's not what makes the guardian.
I'm not using the staff.
Like I said, I'm not saying he's not important. I'm not saying he's not powerful. I'm saying that he does not technically have a title. So for him to say, "Oh, you're the next in line," that doesn't mean anything.
Especially not when you consider that the guardian of Tirisfal power is something totally fucking different.
Right. That was not given to him. That was
talking about a title, not a power. at this point.
But the
right?
Guardian
Like,
is not a title; it is a power.
No, the
But
Guardian of
also a
Tearsfall is
title.
the power.
I mean,
It's
It is
also
the
a title.
title given. It is the title given to the person who is given the
Then
power
how
of
was
the
there a
Guardian.
Guardian before that? They had all the power, because there was a
wasn't
Guardian
one.
before they were that
No, there
powerful.
wasn't.
There was
No.
no. The Guardian did not come into
Power's
effect.
been grown. It's grown.
The man, this has gone
They've not always been
way
as
off
as
the rails.
Guardian is at this
Listen,
moment.
the Council of Tearsfall created the Guardian by imbuing their powers into their chosen person.
Okay, and then it grew from there.
But they always took
because
that
it took
power
on
back from
the
person
and imbued it back to them.
Else.
The only time that it didn't happen was when
still have that title and not have the power.
But it's no.
You don't.
Yes, you can.
No,
you absolutely
cannot. You cannot have that power. You cannot have the title without the power, because the title without the power means nothing.
Says who? Says who?
You're not the Guardian.
Says who?
Without the power,
what is,
it means
says
nothing.
Who?
What is the title?
Power.
What is the title?
Guardian.
Guardian of what?
Guardian of Tearsfall.
Yes, Guardian of Tearsfall, which has to do with the council, which is where the power comes from.
So again, why do you need the power for the title? What if, let's just say, the
power is
towards like
title.
you're the Guardian now.
It's all the same. Like, why you can't?
You can dissociate it immediately.
Listen, I can absolutely correlate this back to
because that's a position.
I can absolutely equate this back to Dragonflight
without the power.
I can listen. I can relate this back to Dragonflight. They are not the aspects of Azeroth. They're not. It's not. They were imbued with the power.
Absolutely is.
No, they were imbued with the power, which made them the aspects. They gave up the power. They're no longer the aspects.
They literally call themselves the aspects.
Okay,
they actually say.
Step away for a bit. I will be right back.
Okay.
They call themselves the aspects.
They all said. They all say I was the aspect.
They don't have the power of the
aspects. Was the aspect.
Right. But they refer to themselves as the aspects.
Everyone else refers to them as the aspects.
They refer to themselves as the aspects. Oh, go talk. I'm telling you right now. Go talk to Ysira, bro, or fucking Alex Raza, because she's absolutely referred to them as the aspects. They've done it forever, even since they gave their power away.
Anyway, let's move on. So where were we? Oh, I wanted to talk about Rathian and Sibelian. I've already given kind of my 2 cents on how I think this is gonna go, but
Sibelian's a Rathian road bone.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I don't think that it matters in any way, shape, or form.
That way.
And even when you go and you do the quest chain and you do like a bunch of the weeklies and the dailies or whatever, even Sibelian's followers are like, yeah, he's kind of an asshole.
He's like, he's here.
Yeah,
I mean, like he's kind of the guy that was, he stepped up.
He did a thing.
Yeah. Like, like I didn't want to do it. Like, yeah, I don't know. Which is kind of unfortunate because I think Sibelian looks really cool in both his human and dragon form.
Yeah, but I think his model looks great.
Reality is probably won't be around after the expansion.
Oh, you think that he's gonna die?
I mean, die or they just won't ever use him again. Either or.
I have a hard time saying they're not going to use him.
Until they run out of things to just throw at him.
So here's my question.
Here's
my question. Yeah. They presented this in a way that, oh, well, it could be Rathian, it could be Sibelian, or it could be somebody else. Got any thoughts on that?
They like fucking pull strings. We all know what's gonna happen.
I have a theory. It's kind of harebrained because this falls into the I don't want that power, don't give it to me kind of category. I think this is gonna be Eben Horton's job.
I mean, yeah, I could see it.
And the only reason I say that is because he's not asking for it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. That also give them a horde body in the aspects.
Right. I mean, not that necessarily matters, but
I mean, in my opinion, they're becoming more and more polarizing, each one of them to one side or the other.
I would say
Rathian, to be specific.
that one's tough because Rathian's history is clouded.
It's clouded, but
I wouldn't say it's alliance centric.
He spent a lot of fucking time with Anduin.
That is the only reason that makes him quote unquote alliance centric, because of his relationship with Anduin. I don't necessarily think anybody else in the alliance likes him.
Say Turellian. Turellian seemed to like him.
Turellian,
weary, but liked him.
I have a theory on this one too. So what we know about Turellian is that Turellian is a by any means necessary kind of guy. And so is Rathian. they have very similar traits. Their goals are just different.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's just the thing that I've tossed out. I definitely don't think the Sibelian has any shot at being the Black Dragon aspect. And Ebonhorn is just kind of lurking in the background. Like, he's not nobody. He is part of getting you to the Dragon Isles for the Horde. So
yeah.
And the fact that he's not to be seen once you're there is kind of weird because Rathian shows up. But that's just kind of Ebonhorn is not Horde. I would wholeheartedly disagree with you. I would say he's
Ebonhorn has as much of a Horde lean as Rathian has an alliance.
I would say it's more so. I would say that Ebonhorn has more of a Horde lean than Rathian.
Yeah, that's true. Ebonhorn is very, very tied to the High Mountain Torn.
Very. I mean,
so he does have that race connection. I would say, to an extent.
Let's see. So
I don't know. Rathian, I don't know. It definitely seems like Rathian has a soft spot for the Alliance.
Like I said, I think that has more to do with Anduin.
Yes, and I get that, but Anduin's the king of the Alliance, right? So,
dude, don't get me started on that bullshit again.
By affiliation, he's got it. You know what I'm saying? If they're that good of friends, he's got to have a soft spot for the Alliance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, so let's run it down.
Look at Rathian's character too. He's kind of a soft guy. Not that there's wrong with that, but that's what he is. He's more emotional than a lot of these other.
He likes to get hit in the face. Leaders. I'll tell you that.
Right. So, he's gotta have a soft spot for the Alliance.
So we can go through the aspects. Alexstrasza obviously hates the Horde. That is.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying is the Horde needs a body.
And it's justified, right?
Yeah, it's pretty.
I mean,
did you see did I share the meme of it was Horde Death Knights restoring dragon eggs right next to Alexstrasza. There's a cartoon of a Horde case just sweating.
That was pretty good. That is another thing I do like, that they put in little voice lines or separate lines of context for Death Knights in that scenario. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Ysera obviously has a tie to Night Elves, that you can't.
Yeah, I mean that's a full racial connection there.
And Marithra is the same way. They all share. I would say Marithra's probably a little more.
It's more the old god, or not old god, but wild god connection. I feel but and this is something that I don't think they've done a good enough job of within the Tauren races of themselves, is like they're also very connected to the wild gods too.
Right. Yep.
And I don't think
their
that,
version of them.
Yeah, I don't think that they are necessarily, and trolls were too, like the Loa are wild gods.
Right.
So like I don't think that that's built on enough for people to make that correlation. But well, yeah, I agree. They've definitely got a night elf tie. I would venture to say that it's not. You know, look at the response for burning down Darnassus.
Yeah,
right.
I would say that the
Cenarian
Circle. I would say the Cenarian Circle
is probably that would be the biggest affiliate.
Right. And that
I would say for her.
And I think that Marithra is more tied to that than Ysera was. I think Ysera just has a soft spot for the Night Elves themselves, which kind of pushes her to that alliance side. Which, whatever happens with that, it's definitely temporary.
I would say Alexstrasza leans further in the alliance than
absolutely,
Ysera.
absolutely. And I think
but
that
like,
that's all.
As it stands right now, like Kalecgos is, I mean, he's probably the most neutral. Maybe, no, he's kind of buddy with Jaina.
I mean, more than buddy, right?
Yeah, true.
I would say
he's got alliance ties. Even if we're not, even if we're not saying like loyalties and we're just saying ties, affiliates, right? There's a lot more alliance affiliates and ties to these dragons than there are.
For sure.
A lot.
For sure.
Like
Kalecgos is Jaina Central. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could say, I would say Nozdormu.
Nas is probably the most neutral.
Because he doesn't, like, it doesn't matter to him.
It did nothing, yeah, because he's seen the end of time.
Yeah, like, it's always been to him. It's all about maintaining the timeline.
Yeah, it's all folly as long as it's within the timeline.
Right. So, and, you know, whatever. As far as the Bronze Dragon leader post Murozond, I do think they've set it up to be Chromie. I agree with you that I think that's a bad choice. I just don't think that they care.
I don't think it'll be Chromie, dude.
I just don't see who else it would be. Would they make his prime consort?
I think this is I think because it's so fucking like they're never that. Look, I get it. Blizzard is obvious about a lot of shit, and you can predict a lot of shit, right? But one thing we haven't been able to do very well when the as far as storylines, when it's well written, is predict a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, the Chromie thing's way too fucking obvious.
Right, it kind of follows, to me, it follows the same as the Black Dragons, right? Like, it's way too obvious to me that Rathian is the next one.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, it just seems even more just blatantly like I get it. But, you want my opinion? I don't know that Chromie makes it out of this fucking expansion.
Oh,
I think, hear me out, this is the only exception to my rule of no one's leading anymore, right?
Okay.
That's leading now. Is Nas still around? And it comes off the back of Chromie dying.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's my true theory for what the Bronze Dragonflight's got going on. Because it's the only one without like him and Alexstrasza are the only ones without clear cut successors, right? Like Kalecgos is fresh. We're not worried about him, right?
Right.
Ysera, we already we know what's going on.
We've already established the line there, yeah.
Yeah, it's established. Nas, and like again, he's the time dragon, guys.
But so the thing with that is that like it was very clear in Cataclysm when we defeated Murozond, he was very clear as like, yep, this is how I die. This is what I was shown. Like, I'm a duel.
Yeah, but how many times has Nas said this is how they die, and then they're fucking back?
There is a theory.
And how many times does Nozdormu give us some fucking clear cut instruction that's actually been pretty clear cut?
And that's the other part of
the man really doesn't give us soul. He doesn't lie, but he doesn't give us whole truths a whole lot.
That's the other part of those legacy shorts, right? Is that he's always asking questions about like who you are and where you've been, and it's like, aren't you supposed to know these things?
What I'm saying.
But there is a theory out there that the Murazon timeline is not the main timeline.
See, that's kind of my thought, because like why would that be the main timeline when the infinite Dragonflight is just like popping into our timeline to fuck shit up? Why would they fuck their own timeline up if they know eventually they're just gonna be the infinite Dragonflight?
Yeah, it's a weird story. It's a weird story.
That's where my brain is as far as this goes.
And we all know timey-wimey bullshit does not play well, because you just can't write it good enough. Like there's gonna be so many continuity errors.
That's why I'm saying like you keep not like you don't have to fuck with time a whole lot, right? You can crash the fucking Merzon fucking spiral spaghetti thread that they opened up 20 years ago into the fucking earth and end that. You can shut down the multi-timeline fucking Draenor span that we've fucking gone on. Like, because that's a big question, is like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened in this timeline? What's going on in that timeline? What's going on in that timeline, right? Like, and as we get more, like, the definition of what timelines are and time travel for Blizzard has changed drastically over the last 4 years.
Accurate.
Right? Like, it's become more of a novelty thing and less of a storyline thing.
Edgley has a good point. It's like if he told Tony you have to die for the rest of us to live, Tony would have been actively trying to bite the bullet.
Yes.
So yeah,
if
you know the future, you're gonna do everything you can to change it if it's not favorable.
And he's so chill, bro. He's so chill about it all. Like, again, I think Merzon winds up invading here and we fuck his ass up. And then Nozdormu's like, wait, what? I'm still alive. I'm here. Or fucking Chromie channels her power into him. I don't know. I think Chromie's dead. I think Nas is gonna be sticking around.
What I want to know,
Alex Straza is, either imprisoned. Something's gonna do something. She's gonna be the catalyst for the next expansion.
Not again.
100%. She's the catalyst for the next expansion.
What I want to know is, in that Chromie Nozdormu time travel quest chain, I want to know who that infinite dragon is.
True. That's what I'm saying, is like, there's so many new infinite chrono fucking dragons, so many new fucking time dragons, like,
because we know
if I'm Blizzard and I'm like rewriting this shit right now, or I'm writing this shit and we're finally back on Azeroth and we're back to like the base of what fucking WoW started out as, like fucking dragons, dungeons, gear, and getting rep, right? Like,
yeah. So
let's go.
Yes. I'm trying to Eternus, but like we know that the infinite dragons have a penchant for changing their names. It just so happened that Murazon just happens to be an anagram of Nozdormu, but that's not necessarily, oh god, we're all sorts of fucked up now.
Hold on.
Are you gonna share a screen? Okay, cool. Yeah, that's Mystify actually said it. I bet Eternus is actually Chromie. The thing about that is I thought that initially too, and I was paying very careful attention.
No, because Chromie follows orders blindly all the time. Like, no, whatever Nas says, she's like, yes, sir. I got it, sir. No problem, sir. Yes. And she fucking goes off and does it. No questions fucking asked. That smart. I like that idea too. And like, here's what happens. You know, Nozdormu goes down this dark ass path and she follows with.
Initially, I thought the same thing. But I paid very close attention to the model, because the Nozdormu model is the same as Murazon. It's just a different color scheme. So, Eternus is not Chromie.
You gotta remember, Chromie's on a full-grown dragon. And we don't know how far in the future this came from.
Chromie's model is the same size as Eternus. When you go watch that again, like they're the same size. And you're right. You're right. She's not full grown. She's what? 30 at best?
I mean, like in dragon years, she's basically fucking
a baby.
18-year-old.
Yeah. What's up, Scheme? But she is the same size. Or I don't listen, I don't want to get all like transphobic or whatever.
Much bigger than other dragons that are older, that are younger. I think we've got a lot more diverse.
I don't want to get too transphobic or whatever, but Chromie in dragon form is male. Let's not get too wrapped up in the weeds. Anyway, yeah, I'm saying that those models don't match. Could they match eventually? I don't know, maybe.
How many times does that matter, dude?
Eternus is Kairos reborn. That's an interesting thought.
I don't mind that one either.
That is an interesting thought.
Good things are being said.
Because Kairos was never an infinite dragon. Correct. Kairos was still bronze when WoD happened. Eternus is Deathwing reborn. We're just reborning shit. But
Sibelian's just a fucking Neltharion fucking soul cage.
Do you, since we're on there is something about Sibelian.
What, his fucking reptile eyes? Yeah, I agree, bro.
That's part of it. But like, what is Sibelian, like, what is his, where does he stand? Like, why does he think he has the claim? Because he's the one that
because he's been hanging out on the Dragon Isles the whole time, bro.
Well, no, he's been in fucking Outland.
Or sorry, Outland.
He's been the one who's been like
older.
He's been nurturing like he's been nurturing the Black Dragonflight, right?
Yeah.
But who's to say that he's not corrupted?
Yeah, but I mean, Onyxia, the Black Dragons are fucking, they're sneaky, bro.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Look at the Onyxia thing, like, telling you.
I thought the idea of WoD was great. It was cool to finally see the Infinite Dragonflight win for once. Oh, by sending us to WoD? I wouldn't call that a win.
Yeah, and then, you know, we went in there and fucked shit up. I'm sure that went really well for them. Yeah, I don't know. WoD in theory was great, and you know what? I appreciate WoD for what it was. It let me go back and see a lot of characters and newer, fresher models that I had not been able to see since they were polygons, right? So I say that when I refer to WoD. I appreciate the things it gave me. However, it was the longest, driest expansion I've ever played.
It didn't change the past. It literally created a separate timeline.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like the separate timeline is like that's the origin of fucking Murazon, right? And then fucking Murazon and Nosdormu clash. Boom, that timeline gets fucking wrapped up.
Well,
and everything's back to what it's supposed to be, baby.
You say it wasn't the infinite
convoluted timeline.
You say it wasn't the infinite that started WoD, but it really was, right? Like that's Kairos was like under the influence of the infinite dragons. Whether he was an infinite dragon is irrelevant. But yeah. The thing about timelines, I can talk about this real quick because they actually address this, right? There are alternate timelines that happen. Like think of it as a thread, right? And when we're going along and then a choice happens and Nosdormu is like, this is the one true timeline, but this other choice went over here. And so with this choice, if nothing interacts with it, then this just dissipates into nothing. But what happened was there was a choice made in WoD because Garrosh went back in time. The choice was made and we interacted with it. So now we have two congruent timelines. That's how that works for anybody who didn't know. But
that's what I'm saying is like that's a constant question, right?
Call
like,
the TVA.
What the fuck, right? Like someone called the TVA. That's what I'm saying. Like haven't y'all fuckers seen Loki? Nas is about to king our asses and bring this shit back together.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean that's
only gonna die doing it.
That is a good analogy because in Loki, that Kang is like, I'm just the one who won.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We're literally living the fucking Loki storyline.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't know, bro. I think Nas is gonna shine. He's gonna shine in this expansion.
I do like that idea about Chromie sacrificing herself.
It makes sense.
It does and it doesn't, because like now you've got to find another NPC to do Chromie time, but whatever.
No, you don't. No, you don't. She's no. Time Dragon.
You're saying that she lives outside of the timeline.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll go with it. They said WAD isn't canon.
Timeline, or like she gets sacrificed out of the fucking game, other than to be novelty Chromie, bro.
WAD has to be canon, and here's why. We have Magar Orcs and Lightforged Draenei. That's why WAD has to be canon.
WAD has to be canon because Legion happened.
Right. Yeah. What I'm saying, it's not that I'm saying that that's not canon. What I'm saying is that it is separate. Like what happened on Draenor in alternate.
Think of it like a road, right? And the road comes to a fork. And now there's like, it's a 2-lane road, and then 1 lane went this way, 1 lane went this way, and they both ended up in the same direction.
Yeah, right. So
and then eventually they come back. And
there's a 35-year period where they're separate, and then they come back together and they exist together.
And then they exist together.
Right.
Yeah. Like it basically merging. Eternally merging.
Yeah, so the Magar Orcs and the Lightforged Draenei are what merge the timelines together.
Yep. Technically, kind of.
I mean, not. Yeah, I mean, it's
now
still
they're communicating.
Yeah,
just imagine like
there's a gateway. There's a gateway between
in between the roads now, and now there's no bushes. Like the bushes have been cut down. Like that's where we're at.
We can see them now. Yeah, we can yell at them from across the highway.
They know we're here. We know they're here. We're communicating. Things are chill now, right? And before it was kind of like, what the fuck's going on over there?
It's still been 35 years in our timeline. The thing in WAD happened 35 years before where we are. Well, not now, but like where we were.
Back to the Future paradox, right? Where he went and almost banged his own mom.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to that.
But like,
right? Like
35 years still passed at the same amount of time. Right. That's why when you go back to alternate Draenor for the Magar Orc sequence, Gromosh is old as fuck. Like Gromosh is old as fuck because 35 years have passed, and it's also 35 years on our side.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to another Dragonflight topic. Onaran Plains.
Nagrand 3?
Kind of.
Nagrand 3, no floating mountain.
No floating mountains. What do you think of the Maruk?
I mean, it's cool that centaurs are finally like shining, I guess. I wouldn't care if any other NPC was there though. If I'm being honest, like it's cool, but it's like, hey, Tauren with 4 hooves.
Why can't I skin a Maruk?
Also kind of fucked up, right?
Like they're half horse.
I'm not even a skinner, so like I watched it happen in front of me and I was mortified.
You can't skin them.
Oh.
No. I'm saying, why can't you? They're half horse.
Oh, why? I thought someone did. I thought you could this whole time.
No, you can't.
Oh, thank God, dude. Oh, fuck.
What? That's good leather on the bottom, bro.
I thought he must have skinned a model underneath it or something.
Yeah, if it has like a wolf or whatever underneath it, like an otter or whatever.
Yeah, something along those lines must have happened, I guess. I don't.
That's probably what happened.
I was fucking horrified. I know that.
Can we discuss how we can skin a bird and get leather? Yes, we can discuss why you can skin a bird and get leather. That's weird.
You ain't ever had white people turkey before?
Oh, that's wow.
True.
That's
I know.
Pretty true. But I
taught my parents how to cook a turkey.
So the story of Onaran Plains, for the most part, like you get into the Green Dragon stuff, but mostly we're dealing with the Maruk, right?
I like the 100 acre wood, man.
What's that?
I said I really like the 100 acre wood.
100 acre wood. So the story of the Maruk, right? We've got a clan that is like, nope, we're not doing this old way. I killed my father. I'm taking over, and we're gonna take over everything because you guys are a bunch of wusses.
Pretty similar storyline to Torn, you know?
Weird. So they're corrupting burial mounds. Corrupting is not the right word. They're defiling burial mounds. That's what my favorite dungeon. My favorite dungeon is that dungeon.
Bro. I love Knock. Knock
Dude,
is fucking fun.
When you can dragon ride in fucking a dungeon, yes, please. Let's go.
I also want to point out that, you know, this zone is a pretty large ripoff of Final Fantasy. Might actually be one of the largest Final Fantasy ripoffs I've seen them do.
That I'm okay with that.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, I never complain when someone robs something good of another.
Yeah, to make yourself good, absolutely not. We've actually talked about this before, right? We way in the Wayback Machine, we talked about how okay, Lunar, just pop back in and Oak will close the stream. Oh, I have to drag you down. Duh. Okay, go ahead and close it. But yeah, we talked about this way back, like all of the team were playing Final Fantasy, and we're like, why can't you take some of that stuff and put it in the game, right?
We actually got a hefty amount, in my opinion. They took a lot of things from that what Final Fantasy was doing really well, and they brought it over. And I'm never gonna knock any company for doing that. Like,
more random,
it's good
cutscenes.
Yeah, more cutscenes, MSQ.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I did like that implementation.
They're taking the things that, and honestly, I think some of the things they've taken from Final Fantasy, they've made better. And that's how you get better.
That's how you get better.
Right? That's how you get better MMOs. Final Fantasy has taken plenty from WoW.
Yeah, exactly. And that
thing is like, it's the only way the best ideas are going to get to each.
Like I said, we talked about this a long time ago that the Final Fantasy team back in the original game, they sat down and they played Cataclysm and they took everything that was good about Cataclysm and they put it in Final Fantasy, and then Final Fantasy took off because it was hot garbage. And at the time, WoW was like riding high. So yes, you take what your competitor's doing, you bend it to what works for you, and you make it better. You iterate on it.
New World is a fucking key. Key example of literally making an entire game based on everything else and not having. I mean, like, they had some original ideas. Like, I think the setting is very original. I like it. I think their weapon system is unique. But outside of that, dude, they just took good things from every MMO, and that's what they continue to do.
Right, which is every MMO should do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, if it fucking works.
Lunar, welcome back. You're muted.
El Muto.
Thank you. Sorry. I had to go pick up my kid and drop my husband's phone off because dumbass left it.
It happens. Husbands leave their phones sometimes.
Yeah, I had to go back to the fish store, and I try not to go there as often as possible because we come home with new pets.
Oh, bad. No, thank you. So obviously we deal with the centaur nonsense. We get into the green dragons. I thought that was pretty well done too. Like, it's not giving away too much. It's leading up to something pretty substantial.
Called the Return of here.
I mean, obviously, right? Like, we already talked about it, but it's pretty clear that we are going to go into the Emerald Dream, and somehow the connection between the Emerald Dream and Ardenweald are going to sync up, and that's how we're going to get things.
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 You mean persons of interest?
Yeah, I heard a theory.
Bro,
like I'm not
talk about the soup event.
Can we? Let me talk about this real quick.
Love the soup event.
So
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I am.
I already said I don't
what?
want to get too spoilery, but obviously the information's already out there. The sacrifice that will be made for Ysera to come to the Dragon Isles is pretty clear. I don't know if you guys have read into it or seen it or whatever, but I think that whatever happens with the character that ends up going in Ysera's place for however long that is, it's only going to make that character stronger.
Dude, I can't wait till Sylvanas sneaks out.
I don't think we're quite there yet.
No?
No.
No, I'm not. No, she's gonna sneak out now. We're gonna find out in 2 years.
No, I don't think we're there yet. I think the Sylvanas story has...
we're not gonna know what even happened. I'm just saying, when the new expansion launches.
Want to buy Arthas's other half of his soul no. So here's the thing about the Arthas thing. Let me clear this up real quick for you. There is no
Shadowlands. Like I need
is
them to
no
reopen
other
the door
half.
because the door that they opened was awful.
There is no other half of Arthas's soul. He willingly gave his soul to the blade. Like he doesn't have a soul. What we defeated in that last raid of Shadowlands, that's it. There's no more Arthas.
Yeah. Yeah. I almost wish they left that one closed. I wish they kind of left Uther closed too.
Man, that one's so tough.
No, I was happy with what they did with Uther.
I just felt like it was so unnecessary.
I didn't feel like they needed to do it, but I thought how they did it.
I mean, it was cool.
I was satisfied with how they did it.
Yeah. Like it could have been executed worse. I just didn't understand why they executed.
Yeah,
really where I was at.
That's kind of.
I was like, when he was coming back, I really thought like when they were like, Arthas is coming back, Uther's coming back. I'm like, cool, maybe we'll get like some really sick like Paladin gameplay.
I think the worst part,
and then like nothing happened with Paladin.
The worst part about that whole scenario is when you went back into Uther's memories and you were training Arthas, and they gave him that garbage ass model.
I was like, where did you fucking find this?
Dude,
Warcraft 1?
What in the hell are you doing here?
Bro, it was... They did him mad dirty there, to be fair.
Yeah, they totally did. And so that part of it...
And I don't know. Like, I expected more. And I get it, Shadowlands was a shithole, and they wanted to get out of it as soon as possible. I would, too, if I had this waiting on the shelf. I don't blame them, but... Damn, bro. It just felt bad. Like, BFA had a lot of loose ends.
That we know, yeah.
Again, we never really on that. I think we see some come around in this expansion, which I told you that when we talked about.
Yeah, we saw
we're not on Azeroth.
We saw 2 expansions that were flops. We can pretty easily say that. There were good things about both, but like on the whole, they were flops.
From a production standpoint, they were flops.
So we have a lot of loose ends that were left, and we're just gonna have to deal with that.
I feel like Shadowlands didn't do a bad job of like making sure things were tied off, but like
they just weren't.
It just felt like
they weren't satisfying.
To be tied off.
They weren't satisfying.
Like they were like, all right, well, we gotta tie it off because we don't want any loose ends, and it's just like, I don't know, bro. Like, obviously, people can come back and forth from the Shadowlands. Like,
let's talk about this comment real quick, and then I want to move on. I don't want to talk about Shadowlands. Says the jailer controlled everyone and made Sylvanas do it all. Okay, that means he did that crap to Arthas too, who was just trying to save his country and kept getting pulled down that rabbit hole. That's true. The difference is that Sylvanas did it against her will. Like she was killed and her soul was rendered. Arthas literally gave himself up to the power. And
y'all ever seen Lord of the Rings?
And then didn't want to do what the jailer... That, like, there's a reason why he calls Ner'zhul and Arthas the failed Lich Kings, because they didn't want to do what he wanted. They had their own agenda. That's why the domination of Anduin was so important, because if he didn't have any free will, then he would literally just do whatever the jailer wanted him to do. And Sylvanas is different. She, quote unquote, made the choice under duress and under coercion, in my opinion. But that's a whole different. Shadowlands is done. Can we be done with Shadowlands, please? Until we go to Ardenweald and get Ysera. Okay, let's talk about the fishing event. Or the cooking event. Let's do it. Go for it.
Have you guys done the soup? Have you guys done the soup event?
I've done it once and I hated it.
I have done it multiple times because it's a weekly and you get gear from it.
You get fat loot from it. True. Dude, I have a blast every time I go and do that. Every time it's up,
it's fun. It is fun. I mean,
have you guys gotten the soup elemental?
No.
Yes.
Oh, love the soup elemental.
What?
It's basically, yeah, dude, look it up.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now.
It's the best model in the game.
Oh, I can't look it up because I got the videos running. But
I couldn't exactly see the soup elemental when I got it. I just saw what was left of it because there were so many people there.
Go try it again. Like the first time I did it, I didn't really care for it.
Oh,
it was really
you mean the?
Yeah, I'm getting ready.
You're
to go
not
do it
talking
now,
about like a pet.
20 minutes.
You're not talking about a pet. You're talking about the boss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's pretty good. The biscuits, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
It's basically biscuits.
Dude, now I'm hungry.
But that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. That's one of the things that gives you the Tuskar rep, and that's like the big one that you do to get Tuskar rep. Other than that, it's World Quest and fishing. But like you said, Oak, you can buy the fish and turn it in, whatever. And I think that's why that one lags behind so much, because there's so much other stuff to do for the other factions that people will go do that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I've always seen like the Tuskar fishing factions, like the Anglers, is like a tertiary fun faction. Like,
yeah. The problem is that that's tied to cooking, right? Like, if you're gonna be the,
I think that's fair. I think cooking has been relatively really fucking easy for
sure,
a very long time.
But if you're gonna be your guild's cook,
then you better get out there and be fishing.
Get your ass out there.
Here's the thing. You better be fishing anyway. Like most people who are interested in cooking, I would venture out to say are fishing. Because it's the easiest and fastest way to get materials.
It is the easiest way to get.
Say fastest, but it's definitely the easiest.
Because you literally don't have to go anywhere.
Like now, there's so many fishing pools.
Oh, dude,
there's so many fishing
pools. They're
They're
everywhere, and they're marked really well.
Yeah, dude, I got. This is the first expansion I've gotten 100 fishing within the first week.
Wow.
I was like,
I haven't done that, but I'm also not the guild cook. I'm just like a guy who has.
I'm not either, dude. I legit am having fun fishing. Like I get to make little fucking harpoons. I got a little fisherman's hat. I can go make new fishing poles. I got little javelins.
Dude,
that's why I said when you were complaining about the Tuskar rep, I was like, shut up.
Let's talk about
adorable
profession gear. That shit is great. Gear. That is fantastic.
I crafted my epic blacksmith mace.
I love the way that they did professions this time around. In general,
I think this is a good start. I like the direction we're heading here because I think this is a very basic, like ground up restructure that they've started. I think this is just the start. Profession. It is a straight steal from FF14 in a lot of ways, but different in some. And I think the end game is going to be them two being very, very similar because. If there's one thing I know people praise the fuck out of on Final Fantasy, myself included, it's the craft.
Oh yeah, the crafting is
interact.
Yeah.
So I think with getting gear that has stats on and shit like that, this is the start of that happening. Also,
and it doesn't take space up.
Via professions, you sleep it.
Yeah, accurate. And the stuff
Very
doesn't go
accurate.
like it doesn't go in your bag. Like you equip it and then it's not in your bag anymore. Like you don't have to keep profession gear. Like you used to keep.
That's the part I love the best is you have profession gear that you actually
like
wear.
if I wanted to get a bonus to mining, I had to carry around my fucking my mining pit.
Yep.
Like and equip it and use it. Now it's like, oh, have you guys noticed whenever you do an activity, it dresses you up in the gear that you were wearing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And then it hangs out there until you do something else.
My favorite feature ever. I fucking love it. It's so
I dig
fun.
it so much.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day when I was sitting there mining, and it's like, there's this
oh my god,
my back.
a dwarf miner, you fucking little mining helmet comes on, fucking. I'm like, I can't wait till Oktoberfest, dude. I'm just gonna run around in a lederhosen and just fucking start mining shit.
But I also like that is not Dragonflight exclusive. They reworked it completely. That is the profession.
I think this is the start. Like that. Yeah. That's the only way I can think of them doing everything. Right, like why bother doing everything if you're not going to build more on it?
Do you like the work order system?
I wish more people used it. I do like it. I wish more people used it. I wish it was more active. I think as people get more familiar with it, especially as the raid comes out, people I'll start to understand it more. Like, I don't know, I pull up my blacksmith orders and I have a lot of recipes. If you can buy it, I have it, which is a lot of.
Yeah. That's the other good thing. Well, good and bad at the same time. Like to advance your profession, you have to do other professions or buy into other professions. Like I'm an enchanter and a skinner on my rogue. To advance on my enchanting, I need to go fishing because the recipes I need come out of the bottles that you fish up. And that's pretty cool. Like you obviously you can go to the auction house and buy it, but that shit's expensive. Just go fish for like half an hour.
Yep. No, I really like professions. I think they're headed into the right direction for the first time in a while. And I am excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. And the Tuskar rep being tied to that, like I said, I'm not mad about that. I'm not even mad that it takes longer to do the Tuskar rep. It's just that does, if that's not something that you want to do, if that's not content you want to do, it does tie you down a little bit in what you can do.
I'd agree with that. I mean, that's fair. It is kind of like, I don't know. Again, I think fishing is really fun right now.
I think it's fun right now, for sure.
You fish nothing but pools. You're not fishing up garbage the entire time. You're fishing up nothing but pools.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, the Darkmoon Fair, fantastic way to level up your fishing. Fantastic. I was leveling up pretty much every other fish from 80 to 90. And then, of course, once I caught 10, I was able to turn them in for 3 bonus points. So.
Have you done the fishing holes where you can set a net?
Yes.
How the fuck does that work?
So I believe you have to pick it up within 1 daily reset of when you start it. So I'm not entirely sure because there's sometimes I go back and it's full. There's other times it's not there anymore.
That's my problem. Sure it's a 10-hour timer.
There's no bugs, but but I picked it up after the 10-hour timer.
Right.
Sure.
That's what I was told. It's like you can
time frame.
Okay, because I've set my net and there's a 10-hour timer.
I think when the server does its soft reset for dailies, I think it empties the basket, regardless of where you're at.
Okay. Because I was under the impression that you set it down, there's a 10-hour timer, and you can go back after the 10 hours and it's still there. That was what I was under the impression. But now I'm trying. I don't think that's the case. I think
that's what it does. I don't know. I mean, like it says 10 hour. Okay, well, I set mine about 3 hours ago, so let me go check on it. I guess that'll be a good.
And thank you so much for your Prime. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the Prime. There was a period where it was bugged and they hotfixed it on Tuesday. I just went back 2 days later this week and it was still there but was disappearing last week. Okay. So there's a bug in it. That's what happened.
Mine disappeared overnight.
Okay. So maybe there is
all right. Mine says 7 hours there, 7 hours there. Okay. Yeah, because mine disappeared overnight. Because I've been working from home, so I've been just logging in and doing it.
Okay. Well, I've gotten nothing out of it, and I said it like 4 times, so I'll just keep trying. Anyway.
That's weird. Yeah, I mean, it hasn't given me anything fucking great. Let me tell you that much. Yeah, I mean, probably the amount of time I spent flying out there, setting the net, unlocking the second net, setting that, and then coming back and doing it again later. I probably would have got more.
I'd rather do dragon racing.
Probably better gear from, or better items
fish.
from actual fishing.
Yeah.
If I just fished that 10 to 15 minutes.
So that kind of covers the Tuskar. The other part of Azure Span is obviously the Blue Dragonflight.
Tell you what, man, I really like Azure Span. Like, not so much from a storyline standpoint. I mean, it was good. Like, I like the Tuskars are adorable.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that
Kagos one was kind of like a lot of build up for not a lot of return, and it was like watching a fucking DBZ.
From an initial,
I was straight wondering when are we gonna get them as a race, a playable race is the question.
Tuskars, dude, it's coming.
I felt for the initial story, like I liked the initial story. I thought they did a good job storytelling, but on the whole, outside of Thaldraszus, I thought it was all pretty forgettable.
I liked the Tuskar storylines, even the side quest ones, because I thought they were like pretty cute and meaningful kind of way. Like,
I mean, I think they're cute. I think they're cute quests. Don't get me wrong. I think that there are storylines that are cute.
Have you done the painting quest line?
I have not done the painting quest line.
Oh my god, so good, so touching.
The quest line that everybody loved in my Discord was the Tyvan quest line, the big dog in Onaran Plains.
Yeah, Tyvan was a good one too. But I like, so the painting quest line sends you to all the dungeons.
Okay.
And I really painting quest line.
That must be tied to a reputation level.
No, it's just out of the way.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you open up your map, you see those little islands to the south of Ascara.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. You see the smaller ones to the left. You see that longer one? That not necessarily long, but like skinny, long, like almost directly south of the peninsula above it.
Okay.
Right there is a little Tuskar fan that likes to paint.
I'm sorry, guys. My daughter decided she wanted to show off her mouse.
No problem.
It's all good.
The mouse is a boy. I appreciate it. But yeah, go there, grab the quest line, do the quest line, watch it touch your heart. That's all I have to say. That's all that needs to be said, to be honest, man.
I mean, listen, like I said, there are plenty of quest chains that have been like self-contained and memorable, but like the overarching story, until we get more to it, I just felt like it's like
yeah, he's a loose thread for sure. Like it's come on, we know what's gonna happen there.
Yeah.
We already know where the next raid's at. You see that giant crystal tower on the map that there's no instance on?
Oh, really?
Like, it's right there. I'm like, yeah,
I see it. Cool. It's right there in your span.
Yep, no instance on it, and it's not only enlarged in the world map, it's enlarged in the zone map. Come on, something's going there.
That's
I mean, we obviously
that releases on Tuesday.
I mean, we obviously
a lot
know.
of that area got blocked off. They love doing that shit.
You're talking about up in the northeast corner?
Yep.
Vakthros.
It's got a sick ass name. We spent all of 10 to 15 minutes there.
Isn't that where the PvP area is?
No. That's the assembly's the other side of your span. Like, go directly left of Vakthros, a little north, you'll see the Cobalt Assembly.
Oh, the training grounds is in the Cobalt Assembly, got it.
Yep. Vakthros is where that's the tower that got energized.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember we did like 3 quests and then like the main story quest line over there, and they're like, all right, get out.
Yeah, yep.
No Dead Ringer for me.
You know that I don't like the Cobalt Assembly. I talked about this with Lunar.
Yeah, dude, imagine manning a rogue not knowing how to PvP.
Oh my god, that place is horrible.
It's not about the PvP. It's like
it's about the bubbles.
It's no.
You get the bubble where people can't kill you, but you do 1,000 bajillion damage.
It is,
and then you hit Divine Toll and watch everyone die.
It's Torghast Light. It sucks. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I didn't like Torghast. I don't like this, but you know, it's not everything is for everybody, and I know that.
It's okay to be wrong.
You're right. It is okay to be wrong, and you know, I'm just glad I'm not in a guild that makes me do it.
True. That's why I'm not in a guild, dude.
I'm glad I'm done with it.
You get your ring?
Yeah, I got my ring.
Perfect.
You kidding? I got my ring and stop.
I've realized, unless I am competitively playing this game, there is no fucking reason that I need any sort of piece of gear to get the job done.
Well, yeah. I mean, I went to the islands with my
I was looking at the gear. People were clearing fucking 20 and 23, 25s, and I'm like, yeah, these dudes don't give a shit about nothing but islands.
Yeah. And like I went to the islands with my warrior after I finished my rogue, and I immediately just started queuing dungeons because I didn't care. Like, I've already done the story. Come to find out, by the way, do the story. You need the rep. Do the story. Anyway, your gear can be garbage. And you just go and wreck dungeons.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, bro. Yeah.
So
I might do some mythic rating this expansion because the expansion's fucking good. I might jump in a little bit, but not on the level I was, where it's like maintaining fucking 3 characters, fucking, which granted that grind doesn't exist anymore to make mythic rating feasible.
Yeah.
For me now. But I don't have to spend eternity playing the game every day to make sure my neck is not behind. So
that'll bring us to our last zone, Valdrassus. I don't really want to talk about the zone. I think the zone itself is just kind of there. I want to talk about the city. What do you think about the hub city?
Fucking love, best one that's come out on time. Fucking love it. Love it. Feels like a city, dude.
I feel like it is the second coming of Dalaran.
It could use a couple more nooks and crannies.
Like, I feel like there's the central section, like in Dalaran, where you can kind of go around in a circle and like every like major thing is there. But then you can kind of go off into the side parts and all of the other stuff is there. And I think that they did a really good job with it.
I really like
it. And they made it vertical. Not for every building, but there is a vertical portion to it.
City. It feels like a city.
Yeah.
I love how it is set up. It's not just only round like everything else is. It's got actual platforms and
right. Like I said, there's
the
central area.
Beautiful.
There's a central area that's got the circle, which everybody always wants the circle. It's there, but the rest of the city exists. And I think that they did a good job like spreading out where all of your profession stuff is, where your weekly quests are. Go up to the top of the tower, talk to the dragons for.
It's like the city has districts too. Like each
Dragonflight has its own
district, and like each Dragonflight has its own area, and like I don't know. To me, it's probably the cittiest city they've hit.
Yeah,
and honestly, it's set up very similar to what a Final Fantasy city is set up.
It's
with a whole lot less loading screens.
It's a better version of Borealis.
Yes.
Agreed. Like I said, my only complaint is I'd like to see a couple little nooks and crannies. Do you guys know about the hidden inn?
I have heard about the hidden inn. I have heard about it.
Have you gotten into?
I haven't gone to the hidden inn yet. I actually just found out about it on Thursday, and I was like, interesting.
Party, dude. Are you logged in?
No. I'm not because I can't.
This is the first time I've heard about the hidden inn, and I'm currently at sleep.
We'll do that afterwards because I have to have the screen up for our camera.
Fair enough. The Hidden Inn is great. It's basically a night.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It's like a speakeasy.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you can set a hearth in.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's
So,
it's an actual inn.
That's where my hearth is.
Yeah.
So I want to derail this real quick. What do y'all think of Mommy Straza and how big they made her?
She should be.
Yeah, I mean that's the canon size of the aspect dragon.
I mean, you look at Nozdormu's not quite as big, but he's still pretty big. And you look at them compared to Caligos, he looks like a baby.
Yeah.
I know.
But I love it. I love that you can go up and they're in full form and you can see the difference in size. That is actually something I want to talk about before we cut the podcast. But
you seen Cthulhu Straz?
Cthulhu Straz? No.
Dragon, dude. And Veldraken hangs out by one of the fountains. His name's Cthulhu Straz.
That's funny.
Dude, there's a lot of quirky dragon names. You just gotta pay attention.
When you go up to the top of Veldraken, at the top of the seat of the aspects, I am very curious about the gaps seats of the aspects. Obviously, there's a gap for the greens. Obviously, there's a gap for the blacks. But if you really look at it, there is another gap.
More room.
There is more room. And this kind of leads into some speculation that I had on stream the other day. I think when this is all said and done, when we're done with Dragonflight and we have dealt with all of the shenanigans that we know of right now, I think the Primalists will have a seat at the table.
That's Tyr's spot.
That's Tyr's spot?
Yeah. That's Tyr's spot.
I would like to see how that plays out.
I mean,
it's going to be interesting regardless of which way it goes. Right?
You did the storyline.
I did.
All right.
I did.
Just throwing that out there. Seems to be if there's a will, there's a way kind of scenario working out.
I mean, I guess there is.
I'm honestly surprised you didn't want to talk about that, but like I get it because probably some people haven't done it yet. Maybe.
There is a feasible way. If you think about like the Titan Keepers, right?
Yes. No, trust me. My brain immediately clicked to that.
They're just constructs.
Yeah. Discs. They're discs. They get discs up and then they become right. So
yeah.
Just saying.
It's out there. But I don't know, just kind of wrap this up because we're at our 2-hour mark here pretty soon. Just closing thoughts, Lunar. What do you got?
Overall, I'm loving this expansion. I cannot wait for Tuesday. I want to see what the story of the raid is going to be.
I have some insight into that because I did do raid testing. But I'll be interested to see how people react to it. But Oak, thoughts?
I think the game is in the best spot it's been in probably a decade. I don't say that lightly. For those of you who don't know me, I will be the first one to tear this fucking room down to the.
Yes, he will.
Bro, I will burn this motherfucker down. Okay, I will because I've had enough of WoW shit. However, I can confidently say this game is very enjoyable and it definitely feels how WoW should feel.
I agree. I agree with all of that. I think that
100%.
Someone asked me how I like the expansion so far, and I was very clear in my answer. I said I think that the structure is good. I think that the pacing is good. I think the storytelling is in some of the best place it's been in at least 7 years. I don't have a lot of complaints. I mean, there's some like little nitpicky things that are just like personal to me, but that doesn't matter. Like my when you look at the big picture, I haven't heard too many people complain about some of the like broad stroke things, and I'm super excited for Tuesday when we get to see the rest of it play out.
Core of this, Dragonflight is not only just a good WoW expansion, it is a good game.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that is one of the biggest differences here is Blizzard sought out to make a good game. This game could stand alone by itself as a start in MMO. My does a very good job of leading you in. It's very easy to navigate. This feels like, they finally stepped into the 21st century.
Feels like WoW should in 2022.
Like it feels like how WoW I would expect WoW to feel in fucking 20 years later. Smoother, cleaner, everything's more interactive. The inclusion is like huge.
Dude,
like that's huge. That's been really awesome to see. Like I think WoW's made a lot of really good, albeit rocky, changes over the last 2 years, and Dragonflight is the fruit of that.
I can't argue that.
Like I said when we first started, I actually feel excited to log into this again, like I did when I very first started my account.
I haven't felt this way since Legion.
Yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate. All right, well, that's going to do it for us. I want to thank Lunar for being here while she also streamed at the same time. So thanks to her community for being there for her. I want to thank Oak for being here. Not eating the whole time.
No, that's now me.
Yeah, we've traded places. We started with Oak eating. We're finishing with Lunar eating. It's all good. So
biscuit. Pizza on the way too.
I put some links in chat for Lunar and for Oak. I've got all of my stuff that is broken apparently on where you can find us. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out all day. I hope that we conveyed our thoughts on Shadowlands as well as getting on our usual tangents. And there will be more to come. I promise you that.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy
Kwanzaa,
Merry
Christmas, Happy
Happy
Holidays,
Hanukkah, all the whatever you celebrate. I hope you have a great
evening, humans.
Yeah, however you do. We appreciate you, and I will keep you posted on what's happening next. We definitely need to have more of this with what's happening because there's a lot coming out right now. We are going to raid Mari Bunny. She is a part of my community. It is her birthday. She's streaming WoW. She installed it yesterday for the first time in like 3 years. So let's go say happy birthday to her. And if I remember how to spell it, because I'm a bad friend. Okay, I think I got it.
And you can't read. Not being able to read doesn't help.
I got it. Okay, so thank you guys for hanging out. I'll see you guys later. Peace.